All right. Well, it is just us then. All right. So anyway, by way of introduction, I'm Rick Rogers. I'm Newberg Mayor. So thank you all for being here this evening, and particularly for your interest in doing this. In serving your community through a committee. So that is awesome. Zyra, do you want to introduce yourself?
Hi, I'm Zyra. I am the administrative assistant, and I'm also the court clerk for the city of Newberg.
Right. All right. And then I think you all should have received a set of questions that included the goals for the city council. So what I'll do is, why don't we just start, and Joyce, why don't you go first, introduce yourself and tell us why you're interested in serving on a committee.
Hi, I'm Joyce Del Rosario, and I'm a student at George Fox University. I will have my financial services degree in 2023.
Nice.
And then I can sit for another couple tests.
Nice.
Yeah. And I also study a lot about like housing and like housing compliance and like geeky stuff like that. And I'm really interested in this committee that I don't think actually maybe existed even so long ago. It's affordable housing, because I understand there's like a trust and there's some plans, and I just really am trying to wrap my head around how I as a citizen can be part of the solution.
Right.
Thanks for letting me introduce myself.
Of course. Claire, why don't you go next?
Hi, I'm Claire Fauché, and I'm currently a rising junior at Newberg High School. I play violin in the orchestra, run cross country, and play lacrosse, as well as serving on our school's Associated Student Body leadership team. And I want to be on a committee because I want to be specifically on the library advisory board, because I want to help make a positive change there. The library has always been such an important place for me, and I just want to help make sure that other people have the opportunity to have the same great experiences that I did.
Awesome. Very good. And Liam.
Hello. Can you hear me?
We can. Yep.
Alrighty then. So I am Liam Decken. I am a junior at Newberg High School. And yeah, a bit about myself, huge history buff, love history, all that type of stuff. You can see Cascadian flag.
There you go.
Pile about this high of historical books from my grandparents.
Nice.
Yeah, and the reasons why I want to join a committee, specifically this historical preservation committee, is because it ties into my interest, my deep passion for history and whatnot. It's something to do, you know. We've been spinning our wheels so much. It's just something, an action that I can do. And it ties into my interest, and it's just a great opportunity. Whatnot, so that's
great. Well, very good. All right. Well, that's, it's fascinating to me that the three of you have chosen three different first choices for committees, which is great. I mean, that works well. We just, so you know, we had something, I think the total originally was 13 applicants for 5 spaces. That's been whittled down a little bit now because people have, I think other things have come up, and as we've gone through. So anyway, the series of questions we've got here, I think what I'll do is just ask them randomly. We'll go through and I'll pick a name from a hat and we'll go that way. So hopefully the same person won't answer that question first every time. That's the hope. We'll test the theory though. So here we go. So you have the questions and you've given us the first. So the first question then will be, describe one thing you see going well in Newberg and one thing that you would like to see improved. And this can either have to do with the committee you're proposing to serve on or otherwise. So the first answer, the first responder will be Joyce.
Yeah. So one thing I love about Newberg is how safe I feel just walking around or making new friends. And I think that you could just build on that. Like that welcoming feeling, that feeling of safety. I think that's like something that could be improved upon because it's a really good brand and it works and people know that. So I would like to know how to be more welcoming, like maybe even like know things that could help me make other people feel like this is a great place to live, or even learn more about it myself so I could share in that.
Oh, that's great. Okay, thank you. Yes, welcoming is a word that we're using quite a bit these days, so I'm glad to hear you use that word particularly. All right, next, Liam, you're next.
So, I mean, to put 1,000 words into one, I think something Newberg does well is that it's just charming. There's a
Okay.
quirkiness about the downtown. It just feels alive. And, you know, you walk in the residential areas, there's just so much life and activity. And I've lived in towns that just don't have that.
Yeah.
I think Newberg does that so well, and thanks to the city council and to, you know, people working in the downtown area, the service sector and whatnot. I think something that Newberg can do well is, I mean, maybe I'm biased because I'm only coming from the high school, but there's a lot of focus on the, like, people from high school, people from college and whatnot. And I've done volunteer work at Friendsview, done a lot of that. And there's just, I'm not saying that they're neglected or like other groups are neglected, but there's just such a wide range of people. And I like to see Newberg open their arms to a bit wider in that. I think that's something good.
Right. All right, great. All right, and Claire?
This ties in a little bit actually to what Joyce and Liam had to say, but something I really love about Newberg is the kind of the feel and like small town charm. I think when I think of Newberg, I think of walking along the downtown streets with the brick buildings and quaint shops, and it just feels like a really fun and welcoming atmosphere. And it really feels within the community like there's a sense of support for local businesses and the citizens of the city. Something that I think could be built on and improved a little bit more still is aiding the impoverished community within Newberg. Since Newberg, according to the most recent data I could find, has a poverty rate of 17%, which is about 3% higher than that of Oregon's average. I think that we can still help that by working within the by working on the library committee. I could aid with that by making sure that we're providing ample resources for those people, using everything they can check out on a library card, providing a safe space with free activities, and providing reference so that anyone who needs more help can seek help when they need it.
Oh, that's great. Yeah, and speaking of those that you know, are impoverished, this weather does not help folks that don't tend to have a lot of money. So anyway, that's very timely. Okay, and then let's see. The next question is, what is your understanding of the role of a committee member and what has prepared you to be on a committee? And we'll see if I can get somebody except for Joyce to start the questioning. Here we go. And I did. Claire, you're up first.
As a committee member, I see my role as partaking actively in the advisory board meetings and providing a different perspective as the student commissioner. I see myself reaching out to my peers and consulting with other patrons of the library to gather feedback and see what we can change or keep doing to best suit their needs. I think I'm well suited to being in a committee because I'm passionate about the library. I have lots of experience working in other committees, and I have strong communication skills. For instance, within my school, I served on the superintendent student advisory, where with a group of other students, we met with the assistant principals and principal and superintendent of our school district. And we worked to build a stronger school culture and worked on ways to improve things like the daily schedule and mental health resources. I was also one of 5 students selected in the school to consult with a representative from Jostens and other members of our school faculty to talk about forming a strong and distinct school culture, which I feel like this has prepared me to serve on the library advisory board because, like Newberg High School, the library serves a very diverse group of citizens. And within my school, I've worked to meet the needs of all citizens. And by working on these endeavors with other students and upstanding adults, I feel very comfortable and capable of communicating and working with people of all ages.
Great, very good, very good. Liam.
Righty then. So going more from what it means to be in the Historical Preservation Committee, I understand it that it's much more than just preserving historical sites, but it's emphasizing, our common history as Newberg. It's really just to bring that out and to, I guess, educate the people of Newberg on something that we share and something that we all have, and to create a civic, I think it's a civic heritage that brings us all together. What I have personally to bring to the committee, of course, I've done some volunteer work. I've run an entire, I guess, group at Friendsview. It was the bingo club. That was
nice.
What a great summer.
Yeah.
And I've also done other tasks like that. I've worked quite well there. And academically, of course, I've run my own bi-weekly club with several of my friends. And along with that, I also, I don't want to brag. I'm not a bragger at all, but I've taken several advanced and AP classes and I've passed all of them.
Nice.
So I guess it goes to show I'm able to do and able to complete assignments and tasks that are required. So.
Yeah, very good. Thank you. Joyce.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I was trying to look at the website and get a better understanding of which of your committees are like standing and ad hoc, and I was trying to figure out like how many are rolling per committee, and I'm still gonna need the orientation, of course, like
Sure.
Are these advisory or working? But I really do like to be on those working committees where we're problem solving, where I'm there to help bring views and then drive towards some level of consensus, or at least a place where we could vote and get some agenda item moved forward that the public's really asking for. So I feel like it's a place where we can focus. Members of our community can come together and focus and bring their talents and their compassion together and show up on time, read your homework. I'm good at making sure I'm ready. I like the timeliness. I am an agenda like driven person. So I can appreciate the different functions that need to be done to have a meeting be orderly. So I think to that extent, to just bring that diverse perspective and also like an appreciation for the rules of order so we can be efficient and everybody can go back to doing all their other stuff that we all do.
Yeah, well, very good. The list of the committees that you mentioned, those on the website, if I recall correctly, those are all standing committees. And then we have a whole host of sort of ad hoc committees depending on the subject. And those normally don't make it to the website necessarily. But there's always, in fact, I think at last count, I think we generally have somewhere around 100 volunteers on committees at the city, which sounds astounding, but that's Newberg though too. People will serve, which is cool. So, all right. Question 5, the council goals. I think you've got them, but I'll sort of remind you of what they are. So the first is to change the operational culture to being focused on customer service and to act to resolve ongoing legal disputes. We had some challenges a couple years back, and that's where that came from. Further develop an operational culture that adopts and cherishes diversity, equity, and inclusion as core values. Promote development of housing affordability, such as houselessness, transitional housing, workforce housing. Create and support an urban renewal plan and authority. Collaborate with local partners and with entities like ICLEI in the development of a sustainability program. So the question is, which of these are you most passionate about? And I will start, and it's Joyce.
Okay, I totally geek out on the housing thing. Like it just can't even act like I don't. It's totally why I'm here. I see it as like such an intergenerational piece and so relevant to building wealth in America and to feeling like you're integrated in your community. I just feel like I have a lot, not only from like lived experience to offer there, but also just from a lot of like intentional studying I'm doing to be somebody who can stick around in this seems to be a really tough industry for a few decades to come now. So I'm kind of pacing myself, and I'm hoping I can meet up with some mentors here in this space to help prepare me for that future career.
That's awesome. All right. Claire. I don't know how random this is, but anyway, sorry.
I am most passionate about number 2, which is developing an operational culture that adopts and cherishes diversity, equity, and inclusion as core values. I think the library is such a phenomenal resource and serves such a diverse population with many different needs, which means it's very important to consider the needs of everyone who utilizes the library and its resources. Within the library, providing books and resources that portray a more diverse community and can educate people on topics that fall within diversity, equity, and inclusion will help support marginalized groups and ideally promote members of the community to speak up about these issues. Additionally, it's important to make sure that there is ample support for people who may have physical disabilities, such as expanding the selection of audiobooks and Braille materials. And while working on this, the library should also stay in contact with those most directly impacted by these changes to make sure that the steps being taken will be most beneficial to their circumstances.
Very good. And Liam. Uh-oh.
Sorry
There-
about that. A few technical errors right there. So yeah, I mean, to me, one stands above head and shoulders above the rest. And that's of course, diversity, equity, and inclusion. And personally, for me, it's especially that inclusion factor right there. You know, bringing together the many voices of Newberg, because Newberg is just a very diverse place and other aspects. And bringing those all together and the intertwining knot that is Newberg, and to suggest our own history and what brings us all together, all these, I guess, wide variety of people all together. And that's core value that I have, and to include not just the high school, not just seniors, but everyone in between, everyone beyond that. I think there's value in that, and I'm thankful that Newberg is trying to strive for that. That's something I cherish. Right.
Very good. Well, good. Well, thank you. You all may not know it, but you are a part of this. We are trying to be inclusive of those that are younger. So we, get the word from you all who will be the future leaders, I might say. So hopefully this is just your first step. Next will be running for city council, mayor. You can unseat me. I'd be happy to move on to something else. So keep that all in mind. So there you go. Okay, the next one is, what issues do you feel the committee that you are looking toward should be addressing in the near, over the next year, I guess it says here. So, and we'll try to see. Liam.
Righty, this is one that I feel, I guess, most passionate about, going off the last point. I mean, I guess mine's kind of in two fronts, but the main one is, of course, I mentioned it earlier, but education, to bring forward our history and to allow people to really just understand that. And in essence, I mean, I feel like I've said it 1,000 times now, but to create unity, because it's just so chaotic and chaos in our nation, the world right now. And I think the Historical Preservation Committee has a great opportunity, especially now, to connect those, I guess, those lines of what unites us, what we can all say, something that we share. And through education, through, I guess, bring about that through highlighting and of course endorsing that, I feel like this committee can really, through education, bring that about. And that's what I think that the Historical Preservation Committee needs to focus on in the next year.
Well, that's great and very timely, right? All right, Claire.
On the committee, I would like to address resources for the visually or otherwise physically impaired. I know that recently the library has expanded its catalog to suit more Braille materials, but making sure that it's accessible as possible should be a top priority since it serves all of Newberg. And so just working to expand those and the audiobooks and any other ways that we can make sure that everybody can be included to the resources that the library has. And another topic I would like the committee to keep working on, just as it continues to go on, is just an ongoing response to the COVID-19 pandemic and just continually changing to meet the comfort levels of library patrons and their needs, which could be seen in expanding digital catalogs, continuing curbside pickup options, and maintaining accessibility with top safety in mind, which will allow as many patrons as possible to use as many resources as possible with the optimal comfort of mind.
That's been great. The digital has been incredible during COVID. I mean, it's been just absolutely amazing, and the library staff has done a fantastic job. So anyway, all right, another aside. But Joyce.
Yeah, I was looking at some of their items they're interested in doing, and the one that totally jumps out to me is the development and the support of the public and private programs, right? Because essentially, if we can make them more affordable, not just for the people developing them, but for the people trying to get into them and for the jurisdictions that are participating, I'm really interested in what technical assistance or networking or infrastructure or public affairs would do to create that type of support so that these programs would really take off. And I'm really interested because this is a lot of people want to move to Newberg, and the trend seems to be that there may be a shortage of affordable housing coming, and how to reverse that trend is a really, I would like to be looking, I'm an accountant. That's what I'm studying in school for. So it's I'm looking at what kind of things are we doing in the accounting industry to validate really quickly so that the most benefits get to the most people as fast as possible. And I just can see that there's ways that we can bring efficiencies and enthusiasm to what's otherwise a boring and maybe even difficult topic of housing. I think there's gonna be a lot of stigma around that. And I would like to help reduce some of the stigma about it, but also talk about some of the new efficiencies that we're seeing, because I'm techie accounting, and I like marrying that with projects that require some creativity.
Yeah, that's great. Housing and housing affordability is a hugely complex issue, and it just as an aside, we currently in the planning department, I believe they have a list of about 50 items that we're trying to get to try to tackle this issue of affordable housing. There's no, unfortunately, there's no silver bullet. We can't just say, well, if we do this, we'll have all the affordable housing we need. It unfortunately doesn't work that way, but I'm glad to hear of your passion on the subject. Let's see. I'm gonna switch around a little bit since Joyce talked about what your future plans. So CPA exam, is that the plan? Okay, cool. Liam and Claire. Well, I'll go with Liam. What's something involving history? What's your future plan after high school?
Oh wow, this wasn't one of the questions on there, but
yeah, no, I'm throwing you the curveballs now, so that's it.
Oh yeah, not a problem. Being completely honest, I really don't know.
Okay.
I mean, obviously, I've said it again and again, but I have a passion for history. So of course that leads a few options there, historical teacher, whatnot. I love language, I love culture and whatnot. Maybe something in teaching language or being like an interpreter or something like that. But in all honesty, I really don't know.
Yeah, nice. Are you college bound? Are you a college bound guy?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah.
I think so.
Very good. All right, Claire, what
Thank
about
you.
you?
I'm not certain what field I want to pursue yet, but after high school, I definitely want to attend college and potentially grad school if that's where my career takes me. I'm not sure exactly what I want to be studying, but I really enjoy my job right now where I work at Mathnasium and I instruct students of all different ages with math. And so I really like that where I get to help people. So I think I want to do something like that in my future. And I'm not sure yet. Potentially, I'm thinking something related to that in psychology or maybe in the medical field. But yeah, I just know that after high school, I want to go to college and I want to be able to help people in my career.
Okay, great. Now, I'm getting way off track now, but this stuff always fascinates me. So, Claire, would you want to stay local? Are you going to stay in state? Would you go out of state?
I haven't considered it too much yet. I think once I kind of narrow down I'm still exploring a lot of different topics and taking different classes to see what I'm most passionate about. And so I think once I kind of figure that out, it'll help me determine a lot more where I want to be to work on that.
Nice. What about you, Liam? In-state, out-of-state?
I have no idea. If I go into like the language path, it'd probably be out of state, maybe even out of country,
Yep.
you know, but of course, there's many different roads to walk down. I mean, I could be a teacher here in Newberg, got a great high school right there. But yeah, I just, yeah, I don't know.
That's great. You got time. No rush. There is no
Yeah.
rush. Yep. Now, Joyce, are you from this area or originally?
Yeah, my family are like Oregon pioneers.
Oh, nice.
So yeah, so I love being here. So actually, when I had an excuse to come to Newberg, because I've been like Bend and Portland and
Mhm.
Salem and Prime, you know, just anywhere but here. And I was like, finally, I get to be at the seat of Shampooey. I'm loving it. I'm totally loving it. I'm geeking out. No, I'm hoping when I get out of college, I can build something really cute over here.
Nice. Nice.
Yeah.
All right. Well, very good. There's a question here about, you know, the time commitment, but from hearing you all, I think you all understand the time commitment, and I think you know what that's going to mean. And obviously, you're managing your time well now. So I guess I could turn it over to you. Any questions? Any questions for us? For Zyra, all right, please. Anyway, this time, yep, there you go, Claire.
I was curious what some of the goals you have are for the student representative position. I know you mentioned that this is kind of part of the way to be more inclusive with people of different ages and perspectives, but I'm curious as to what in particular you want us as student representatives to be like just making sure that we're doing, or something like specifically that we can do to make it a more diverse board.
Yeah, and Zyra, feel free to weigh in too, but I think we want to hear your voices. You know, that's it. You just, you know, you will bring a different perspective than the council or the committee members themselves. Selfishly, also, as I alluded to last time, we are looking to develop future leaders. We want to instill in you, you've already all have it, but this notion that serving your community is really important. And it's important to, you know, if you have a heart for it at all, to pursue it. And so that's part of it. And then otherwise, specific task, it's, you know, to be a committee member as like any other committee member, attend the meetings, be prepared, you know, speak up, let your opinion be known, and be as helpful as you can towards that. But so we don't see it as any different than any other member of the committee. So your role there is as anybody else. So, Zyra, anything else that I missed, you think?
You nailed it.
No? Okay. All right. Good. Let's see. Sorry about that. All right. So anything else? Any other questions? Yep, Liam.
Sorry. So I guess going more specific, what do you guys as, I guess, Newberg City, what do you see in the Historical Preservation Committee that they can reach for and further during the next year? I guess during futures to come. What are you looking at for this committee?
Yeah, I mean, I'd love to see, you know, sort of as you mentioned, I'd love to see more historic preservation downtown, particularly, you know, as we've seen the renovation of the Cameo and chapters and this kind of thing. I'd love to see more of that, working in conjunction with the Downtown Coalition. I'd like to see more of that. I mean, I'd love to see this is all personal stuff. We haven't really gone into great detail. I'd love to see, we've got some historic districts and some very beautiful historic homes in this town. I'd love to see those. I'd love to see the home tour that hasn't happened in a number of years now, but that was always sort of a cool thing. But I think, you know, what you said, Liam, is really important, that we know our history, right? That we have something, and we know it. You know, obviously that this is getting a lot of conversation lately about what's being taught in terms of our history, and that's where we get into critical race theory and this kind of thing. But knowing history is important for all of us. and at times that can be painful, but it's our history, right? And I think that, like you say, if we can generate more commonality, if we can be more welcoming to everyone by virtue of our history or the library or affordable housing, that's what we want. So that's really, I think, the objective, at least in my view. Yeah. Anything? What other questions? Anything else? Okay. All right. Well, you will hear back from us, I think, pretty soon, right? Zyra, we'll get back to y'all. And
I'll send a follow-up email and let them know what's next.
okay, very good. So you get an email. One thing I did not mention, although you all, I won't even mention it. Forget it. You all are figured out what committees you're interested in. But anyway, I just want to thank you first off for doing this. And Zyra and I, this is the second day of this now. We're tremendously impressed with y'all. I mean, I got to say, it is great. It's refreshing. It's wonderful to see, the passion, the involvement, your desire to be involved in your community. And that's really cool. So keep that, right? Keep that thought going, and you're going to be great. You're going to be great benefits to your community. And I can't thank you enough for that. So, and then other thing, full disclosure, Joyce, my day job, I work for Habitat for Humanity. So I'm the director of Habitat for Humanity here in town and have been forever and ever, sort of. And then you two high school guys, I also coach rugby at the high school. So maybe next year I'll see you around campus at some point. So anyway, all right. Other than that, like I say, I can't thank you enough. If you have any other questions between now and when Zyra sends out the email, feel free to send them to us, and we'll go from there. And otherwise, try to stay cool this weekend. And again, thank you. Good luck in all of your pursuits, and we'll see you all soon. So, okay. Thank you. Thanks.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you. Bye.
Yeah, thank you, and have a great day.
You too.
Hope so.
Thank you.